Hello people of the internet, it's Amanda, and for today's video, I'm here to talk to you about a J-drama that I just finished recently, Sukisuki Wanwan. Now this stars Kishi Yuta from King and Prince and Ukisho Hidaka from BA Shonen. I've talked about Ukisho before when I did my videos for Tomodachi Game R4, and I'll be putting a link to those videos down in the description below. And I mean, if you've been watching my videos for a while, then you would know that I'm a huge fan of King and Prince, and it's one of the biggest factors as to why I ended up watching this series in the first place. Now, when I first heard about this, like the premise of the drama, which I'll be discussing later on into the video, I was really confused as to how I feel about it. Like I immediately thought that it's gonna be comedic, obviously, but in a way, I was pretty sure that there are gonna be a lot of like heartfelt moments in it. I just didn't expect as to what extent that would be like. And so I just dove right into it. I initially remember thinking that this title was so familiar. I thought that there was a manga related to it. I looked it up, but apparently there's nothing. So I'm not sure why Sukisuki Wanwan as a title was so familiar to me. But anyways, besides the point. So this drama was pretty easy to consume with only 20 to 25 minutes max per episode. And there are 10 episodes in total. So let's just get right into it. The premise of Sukisuki Wanwan it's about this guy Kota-kun, played by Kishi, and he's pretty aimless in life. He's pretty content with, you know, he doesn't really have that much of a problem when it comes to the house that he's living in, because it's his family's, but because of that, he's been pretty easygoing, you know, living day by day just as is. He's unemployed. He's doing just, you know, measly jobs here and there and all of these things whenever he can, and he has this like weird relationship with people in his life, and that's the point that we get introduced him to. And then one day there's this young man who comes into his life who claims to be the reincarnation of his pet dog back when he was a young boy. Now this character is then played by Ukisho. The first couple of scenes in the series obviously has to do with like Ten convincing Kota-kun that he is indeed the reincarnation of the dog that he had back when he was a kid, and also this kind of like lore as to why this ended up being the situation and why Ten only came into Kota-kun's life at this particular point, you know. So all these, you know, the whole like exposition stuff when it comes to these kinds of things, and it's basically what the pilot was about. But I have to say that this drama, I would say each and every episode of it can be divided into two parts, with the first couple of minutes of it being dedicated to a lot of like comedic moments, and then the second half of it usually has some heartfelt thing that drives it home for at least many people, I would say, including myself. And the reason for that is because the main focus of the story is obviously Kota-kun, and then also the relationship of Ten coming back into his life, and with Ten, you know, being his pet dog back when he was a kid. Obviously from Ten's perspective, he's seen Kota-kun be his best when it comes to kindness, when it comes to his potential, hard work, patience, and just a kid being so full of life. And then now we enter the reality of adult Kota-kun, where he's pretty much seemingly content with whatever it is that just happens to him day by day. This like Ten obviously has this very supportive relationship when it comes to him and whatever it is that Kota-kun is trying to push. But at the same time, because of this almost idealistic perspective that Ten has over Kota-kun, at least in the earlier episodes of the drama, Kota starts to reflect upon, you know, things that he probably is just trying to keep in himself, or becoming his defense mechanism in a way that he's trying to defend his actions to himself so that he wouldn't have the need to take action from things. But because of Ten's existence, he started to confront certain realities about himself and the things that he's insecure about, scared about, all of these things, because now he has someone that he can confide in that wouldn't necessarily judge him for it, but rather give him better insight or remind him that at the end of the day, he's still the person that is worth believing in. And I think that's the main premise of the story is, no matter how helpless or how much you give up on yourself, sometimes it just takes another person or just someone out there to have that, to believe in you so that you can start building yourself up again. And I think that's like one of the biggest themes of this drama. Another thing is, it's quite interesting because it's funny, obviously, with Ten, who is now a young man, still personifying what Ten was like as a dog prior. So all of these things, and there's also like, I wouldn't want to spoil all the other details, but as for the ending of the series, I do feel like they ended it, like, I get the impression that with 20 to 25 minutes per episode, and there's 10 episodes in total, the ending might feel a little bit abrupt for some people, but in my opinion, it's a good metaphor when it comes to dealing with loss or grief. I'm not saying that Ten or any of the characters died in the end. It's not the type of drama, but I just want to put it out there that it puts out a good metaphor when it comes to just loss in general, loss when it comes to relationships, or just basically things that we develop a deep relationship with and then have to sever ourselves from it eventually because of normal circumstances or unexpected circumstances, all of these things, because it is a reminder that just because things ended in a certain way, it doesn't necessarily mean that it didn't hold any value for the life that we're currently living. And sometimes things end bluntly. Sometimes, no matter how much we try to prepare for something, it will still end in a way that wouldn't let us say goodbye to the situation. But we have to that, but it's okay to feel sad about it and to feel that loss. It's important to understand the importance of that loss in our lives, but we should also try as much as possible to use it as motivation to move on, because moving on doesn't necessarily mean forgetting. And I really like that message. Like it was able to push that across, despite the fact that the theme in itself, it's a boy meeting a reincarnation of a dog that he had back when he was a kid, supposed to be comedic and stuff like that, but it was able to drive home such an important message and theme like that, which I really like. Another thing that I have to say about this drama is, obviously there are a lot of parts of it that felt rushed or probably just wouldn't make sense or anything like that. But again, like, this isn't like a drama, I would say. I do feel like, again, it is this like late coming of age, fantasy, comedy, drama. So I'm not really particular with like the technicalities of it too much. I would say though that there's a part in the end that kind of like confused me. And if you've seen it, so I'll just mention it very vaguely. I'm just not sure why Ten was affected of a certain thing, while I don't think that Eri-san was affected, given their similar natures. I'm not sure if there's an indication in the end of when Eri-san left that that's also going to happen to her. I'm not sure how that entire thing in the lore worked for the storyline, but obviously they had to conclude the thing with Ten in a way, and that's like the easy way to do it because it's at the final episode. If you watch it, you would know what I'm trying to say. But basically, yeah, I didn't focus too much on, let's say, like the plot holes of the series, but rather I think it just did its job in terms of delivering the message that sometimes you just need someone, like just one person to, you know, believe in you and to give you that little push. And sometimes you can also try to be that person towards someone else because you wouldn't know how much that would affect them moving forward. And I think that that's a really good message. Addressing some of the things about this drama that I've read online. Obviously, the male, it has two male leads, and because of, you know, this whole like master pet type of relationship that's pretty friendly, I've seen some commentary saying that it's queer baiting. I wouldn't dive deep much into that. I think these types of things when it comes to dramas deserve a conversation that is a lot more in depth, but and maybe I'll try to talk about that in the future, but not in this particular video. But I do understand where people are coming from because there are a lot of like very sweet moments between Kota-kun and Ten in this drama that you know, that kind of like makes you question whether or not you're watching like a BL drama. But then with how in my POV, because of how open BL dramas are being marketed now in at least Asian dramas in general as well, they could have just easily done so with this one. But I think for this one, I understand like the vagueness of what Ten or Kota-kun means when they're talking about, you know, with Ten saying that Kota-kun is his kataomoy or unrequited love in one of the episodes and all of these things. But the main dynamic of them has always been, you know, it's this friend that you had back when you were a kid that came back into your life in a different body. And I've always thought of it as that, but I do understand like why there's certain elements of it that, you know, that makes people think, is this a BL drama? Is it not? Why is it not openly marketed as a BL drama given, you know, these types of scenes? So I think it's a whole conversation that needs to be done in like its own thing. So, but I just want to acknowledge that there are criticisms about this drama that falls within that kind of spectrum. At least in my POV, I kind of understand why it is like this, like why there's this confusion when it comes to their, like Kota-kun's feelings towards Ten, because he wasn't sure, and he made it clear that he wasn't sure whether or not this was feelings from because he's seeing his pet dog in him, or is it him being more attached to him as the person that he is now. So all of these things. So again, but just looking at the general idea of things or just the bigger picture of it, I would say that this is a drama that really talks about, you know, relationships, loss, connections, and just finding support or giving support to someone and finding yourself again. And I like that in the end, in a way that Kota-kun was still trying to find himself. It's just that he's now able to do so in a lot better manner because he was able to reunite with Ten again. And I think that was just the beauty of the drama in itself. Again, despite the criticisms that it had with some people that I've read, I feel like that's worth addressing as well in this video. But for me, you know, overall, just taking it as it is, I really, really like how they concluded the drama. And yeah, and the way that, you know, with Ten's letter and the end of it, it's also the same with like relationship with pets in general. Like we don't really know what our pets are thinking or wanting to say to us, and we're not like obviously for us, like there's this understanding that we can shower them with words of affirmation or affection, but it's hard for them to express themselves to that extent back to us, but this is also the kind of like the embodiment of that. Like, what if, what if your dog was able to come back and, talk to you about the things that you've done together back in the past, all these things. So I think, again, bottom line is this drama, it really touches up upon a lot of, self-discovery, self-identity, support, loss, grief, and just moving on in life. And I like this part in the end, that it's okay if things that you've said in the past, like things that, your contentment in small things in the past, it changes eventually. Maybe like there's this thing where maybe you're happy with just one like over 1,000 likes, over 1,000,000 likes. But if that changes in the future, in a way, like your priorities change in the future, don't hold yourself to those kinds of things like that. Don't let those things, like the way that you change and the way that you want to grow, hold you back. Just believe in yourself and what you want to do, because at the end of the day, like your past, it doesn't entirely define you. Like, it's something that is good to look back on and to push you forward, but it doesn't necessarily always have to define who you are in the future. It's a part of your past and it's a part of your identity, but you also keep growing and moving forward. And that's one of the main messages of the drama as well. And I really like that. And yeah, so with that said, so tell me down in the comments below, have you seen this drama? Do you have any plans to watch this drama? What are your favorite parts, not so favorite parts? I highly recommend it as well, as long as you don't overthink it too much. I do think that if you're a crybaby like me, you're probably going to end up crying in each and every episode just the way that I did. But yeah, so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel and you would want to hear more from me, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you again soon in a new one. Bye!